Now at 9, the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce hosts a summit looking at the future of technology. Plus, local students explore the world of technology at PSU's College of Tech open house. And how a Republican and a Democrat in Ottawa County are working together to benefit constituents.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Jasper County jury finds a Joplin man guilty of murder. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe. Authorities say in January of 2022, Todd May shot and killed his 17-year-old daughter, Prairie Nicholson, during an argument. The jury found Mays guilty of second-degree murder and armed criminal action. A sentencing hearing is set for December 19th. An Anderson, Missouri man pleads guilty to involuntary manslaughter stemming from a fatal crash last year. Authorities say on August 20th of last year, Vincent Castro was driving under the influence when he crashed into and killed 65-year-old David Cunningham in Anderson. Yesterday, Castro pleaded guilty to first-degree involuntary manslaughter. He is sentenced to 10 years in prison. A Montana man is dead after a crash on I-44 near Mount Vernon, Missouri. Authorities say 78-year-old Ronald Pomebo was driving west on I-44 when he went off the roadway to avoid a slowing vehicle. Pomebo then hit a sign and overturned. Both he and his passenger, 78-year-old Ronald Pomebo, were ejected. One Missouri county is stepping up to fight terrorism. Camden County has set up a new way for people to report suspicious activity. Marina Silva explains how you can make reports and what happens after that.
Prior to 9/11, I don't think we gave this stuff a lot of thought, but now you do have to look over your shoulder. Unfortunately, but it's all the time.
The Camden County Sheriff's Office set up the webpage for any tips you might have about terrorism.
And then that tip goes to the appropriate agency, whether that's a state agency, whether that's a federal agency. They get routed through an outside company to make sure that tip goes where it's supposed to be going.
The FBI also has its own tip line.
Tips on all of the different areas that we investigate, from cyber to terrorism to crimes against children.
Bridget Patton with the FBI says they get thousands of tips a day.
Our staff there vets over 3,600 tips that come in daily via our 1-800 number or through electronic submission.
Federal agents then work with local police and sheriff's office to investigate.
Is they use a risk-based approach to looking at this information, to analyze that information, to determine if it is a terroristic threat or if it is a threat to life threat, so that that information is immediately acted upon.
Camden County also sent deputies to a counterterrorism training class to better handle those tips.
And the counterterror officer is just one more, kind of tool that we can put on our belt.
Sergeant Hines says this is a way to keep protecting the people that live in and visit Camden County.
I want to reiterate that we are not trying to scare anyone.
Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a warmer, or at least a mild day for us today. Very windy as well. We had winds gusting 30 to 35 at times. Not as cold this morning. 45 is where we started. 71 for a high. That's pretty good. You got to remember, we had a stretch of 5 days. We had highs into the 40s. Average high is 64 degrees on the state. 83 is the record high, but it's been windy all day long. Now, these winds are calming down a little bit for us tonight, and then tomorrow they're not going to be as bad, but they're going to increase again once we get into Sunday. We do have some clouds kind of skirting through. Here's our next little wave. It doesn't have a lot of moisture. It's pushing through parts of Montana and into Wyoming. This is going to affect us as we head into the weekend with maybe a few random showers. Tonight we only drop back to 48, warming up a little bit more over the weekend. I'll have those details for you here in just a bit.
We'll see you soon, Doug. The Pittsburgh Public Library is hosting an event aimed at promoting mental health services and reducing the stigma surrounding those issues. It's called Mental Health Mosaic, and it was started by Emily Valley. Members of the public were invited to come and create works of art depicting their mental health experience. That artwork was then joined together with the rest of to create a mosaic highlighting everyone's unique experience.
CHC SEK here in Pittsburgh, or through Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center over in Fort Scott, or we also have Crawford County Mental Health. So I wanted to give some information about how to receive those and just to bring mental health into a positive light. And I'm doing that through creating art.
Officials say the project will be shown throughout Pittsburgh. There's a new business in Pittsburgh that's hoping to bring in both readers and cat lovers. It's called the Literary Cat Company. It's both a bookstore and a cat lounge. The business partners with a company that rehabilitates feral cats before bringing them to the store, where customers can read with and adopt them. 28 Missouri libraries now have grants to upgrade their technology and equipment, and that include some in the southwest part of the state. The grants come from the Secretary of State's office and total more than $320,000. Locally, the Joplin Public Library is receiving $7,500. The McDonald County Public Library receives $13,000, and the Neosho Newton County Library gets nearly $11,000. Joplin hosted the Regional Innovation and Technology Summit this week. The event brought together innovative thinkers, business leaders, and locals to discuss how technologies and support local businesses and the community. KOAM's Fernanda Silva shows us the hot topics were.
AI, artificial intelligence, has been all over the news in the past year. While it might sound scary for some, it can be a beneficial resource for local businesses.
It might be how much inventory do I need based on time of year or day of the week. Being able to help answer questions about you or about your business, whether it be online or even through a phone call that could come in.
Laura Merlin was one of the speakers at the Joplin Regional Innovation and Technology Summit. The event discussed how technologies can support local businesses and the community.
We're trying to introduce that to the business owners and the mom and pop practitioners who really that's not part of their day-to-day, but they can use it to attract more customers, create more visibility, create stronger connections with their customers that they have now.
AI is really about being an assistant to you as an individual and how you do your work. Look at AI as an assistant, not as a replacement to what you do.
The summit also had sessions focused on automation and robotics, as they can change the way business is done. Local hospitals were there to show that, as they displayed medical technologies available that can change the way surgeries are done. The annual summit was also a good networking opportunity.
It's great to see that everybody's working on different kinds of problems and how to solve them. But I think what's more important about things like this is that you get to meet people and maybe be able to help them in a way to solve that problem that they're trying to figure out.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
More than 250 people were registered in the third edition of the event. Hundreds of students from across the region today flocked to Pitt State. It was to check out the university's College of Technology Open House and Expo. Nearly 700 students from 29 high schools and community college had the chance to see demonstrations of and get hands-on experience with some of the equipment and simulators available.
Open house is for students to have an opportunity to investigate a lot of different career opportunities in the College of Technology. Everything from two-year technical programs like our electrical and our automotive service technology to our four-year engineering technologies.
The students also had the opportunity to make some items to take home using the equipment. Well, coming up, why this weekend could be one of the most dangerous driving weekends of the year. Don't forget, early Sunday morning will roll the clock back 1 hour, but the weekend's time change brings up an annual problem on the nation's roadways and highways, drowsy drivers, and nighttime accidents. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more on this safety warning.
It's that time of the year again, the end of daylight saving time. We get an extra hour of sleep, but the time change isn't always welcomed.
I think making the transition is really brutal that first week.
When I get older, it's getting harder and harder to get adjusted.
I'm not a big fan.
But it's not just people complaining about sleep. With the darkest days of the year ahead, drivers face more risks on the road, too. One of those being drowsy drivers.
People always say, can I just drink, some coffee or have a caffeinated beverage or roll down the window, play some loud music? All of those are Band-Aids.
And something most of us are likely guilty of. A National Sleep Foundation survey finds more than half of adults admit they've driven while tired. At first, that might not sound like a big deal, but AAA data shows drowsy drivers are responsible for 21% of fatal crashes.
If you're having a hard time maintaining lane or distance from the car in front of you, if you're hearing those rumble strips on the side of the road, even little things like getting more irritated or angry at common occurrences while you're behind the wheel, these are all good signs that you probably didn't get the sleep that you need to drive alert.
An important warning for drivers to keep in mind, as it doesn't appear fall back and spring forward are going away anytime soon. The Senate passed a bill last year to stop the clocks from changing, but it fell flat in the House, and a 2023 version of the act hasn't gained any traction. AAA says drivers with less than 5 hours of sleep have a crash risk comparable to someone driving drunk. In Washington, D.C., Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Panera Bread customers will see a new warning label for charged lemonade drinks following a lawsuit over a student's death. Panera now says it will add a warning label about the caffeine content in its charged lemonade drinks. The policy change comes after a lawsuit against the company over a college student's death. The lawsuit alleges that 21-year-old Sarah Katz had a heart condition and consumed the drink believing it was regular lemonade. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Chiefs head to Germany this week to face the Dolphins. Mitch Holthus tells us how Chiefs Nation is going international.
Hey, it turned out to be a nice Friday for us today. It was warm. It was very windy. We had highs at 71 degrees. That's pretty good. And it's still fairly mild out there right now. The winds are starting to die down just a little bit. You can see still the flags blowing on our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam downtown Joplin. All right, look at our temps over the past 36 hours. Yesterday, we got into lower 60s, which was great, but we pumped all the way into lower 70s for highs today. I think we may be a notch or two cooler tomorrow, and then we should be warmer than what we saw today by the time we head into Sunday. It's been windy as well. We had winds gusting at times 30 upwards to 35 during the afternoon. You can see the winds calming down just a little bit, which is nice. I don't think they're going to be too bad as we go into the weekend, at least the first half of the weekend. Look at this wind shift line. This is a weak front on top of us, and because it's going to be on top of us, the winds will start to die down a little bit. So it's not bad tomorrow, but watch what happens Sunday. Here's the front, lifts back north, so then we get those southerly winds again, and those winds gusting near 30 once again by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, a few clouds kind of skirting through, nothing really underneath the clouds, couple little sprinkles up across parts of Illinois, also out toward Wyoming. This is our next little wave. It's going to give us some clouds, maybe a random shower. Besides that, not a huge deal. Another wave out across the Pacific Northwest. We don't have any big storm systems over about the next week or so, but we do have these weak little waves, which are kind of skirting through. All right, for us tonight into the morning, dropping back 48 to about 50 for an overnight low. We are going to have a lot of clouds tomorrow. We're going to stop at the noon hour, but you're still going to have some sunshine. So partly to mostly cloudy skies. Right around 60 by the noon hour. I think most of us 67, 68 as we get into the afternoon. Now, I want you to focus on a couple little spotty showers. So as we go into the evening hours and then into the overnight hours, we can't rule out a couple random showers. If we have any pop up, they're going to be light, and they would stick around into Sunday morning, and then they would roll out of here. Partly sunny skies, mid 70s for highs by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. Here's your day planner tomorrow: 53 at 9, 64 by 1, 65 by 5 p.m. And if we break down the weekend, 68 Saturday, 73 on Sunday. A few sprinkles late in the day tomorrow, random shower tomorrow night, and then mild and windy once we get into the daytime hours on Sunday. All right, 68. Don't forget the clocks. They drop back 1 hour tomorrow night. This is technically 2 a.m. Sunday morning. So you'll gain an extra hour sleep, but you will lose an hour of evening daylight. The sun will set right around 6 p.m. on Sunday. 76 Monday, 78 Tuesday, maybe a few showers trying to pop up by Wednesday. Elise?
Coming up, the latest job reports.
The U.S. adding 150,000 jobs last month. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll tell you what it means for the economy coming up.
The holiday shopping season is now upon us. Americans are expected to splurge, but not as much as last year. The National Retail Federation predicts sales to increase by up to 4%. That's less than the 5.4% growth in 2022. The NRF attributes the slower growth to inflation, higher borrowing costs, and student loan repayments resuming. Retailers are also ramping up discounts to draw in consumers. The latest jobs report paints the picture of a labor market that remains resilient despite economic uncertainties and high interest rates. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
Employers pulling back on hiring. The economy adding 150,000 jobs last month compared to September's 297,000. In this latest report, September's number was revised from 336,000.
Can I just say this ridiculous every month?
Yeah.
Can we get this data together?
Unemployment is at 3.9%, 0.1% higher than September.
This is a sign of a cooling labor force.
Economists are saying the United Auto Workers strikes against the big three auto companies were partly to blame for the slump.
The strike activity accounted for 33,000 jobs lost.
But those strikes ended this week with tentative settlements in which the companies granted significantly better pay and benefits to the union's workers.
The job market is still fairly strong out there. There are jobs out there. I'm not crying Armageddon here. But I do think that those rising interest rates are really starting to bite right now.
Some economists complaining about the source of the hiring, with government creating the most jobs.
We need the jobs in manufacturing and construction and housing, in business services.
But President Biden welcoming these reports as a sign Bidenomics is working. Taking a victory lap Friday with a business summit at the White House.
This is an example of what we can deliver when we work together.
The Fed decided this week to keep interest rates the same. Those rates are at a 22-year high as inflation remains nearly double the target. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Up next, Webb City residents hit the dance floor with a swing dancing and jazz event. The November 1st Friday swing dancing and live jazz event was in full swing tonight at Just a Taste in Webb City. The event, presented by Vintage Swing Movement, began with swing dance lessons for those looking to try new moves before they got in the groove with live jazz music from Jomo Jazz. Tickets were $12 for adults and $6 for students at the door.
We see anything from 12 to like 90s. A lot of people, even if they don't like to dance, they come and they enjoy the jazz music.
The event began at 7 p.m. and will wrap up at 10 p.m. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How a Republican and a Democrat in Ottawa County are working together to benefit constituents. Plus, lawmakers continue to debate over funding for Israel and Ukraine in their war efforts.
4 States Most Watched News starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy. Ottawa County Democrats and Republicans are working together to better their community. KOAM's Anthony Saviello sat down with the chairman of each party to learn how and why they're working across the aisle.
In a time where it may feel like our country and its elected leaders are more divided than ever, there are those locally who are setting their differences aside and working across the aisle.
We have a great working relationship. We do these things together, and we're trying to do more things together. And I will get that deer in the headlight, so to speak, like, why are you doing that? That doesn't make sense.
Rick Aldridge and Amanda Jackson may not have had the full intention of leading their parties.
Now I really see what need this county has for somebody that's willing to reach across the aisle.
However, both were given the role of leadership.
So we met up here. I don't know, we were up here for several hours. Several hours. And we just talked about how we both just want the community to be involved in the politics.
And with that leadership came a new way to tackle issues facing their community.
But here at the local level, which is we're a smaller community, you would think it'd be even more at odds because we're a smaller community. But it's been working well so far, and we hope to continue to grow.
The two do their best to make sure that negativity and division at the national level doesn't trickle down into their community.
Both parties right now, from a national perspective, are struggling, I guess I'll say. So maybe it needs to start at the grassroots level. Maybe it needs to start here.
Both of them have already made efforts to inform the community on crime and other issues, as well as helping prepare their community for the American Heartland theme park being built less than 30 miles away. But both acknowledge that there is still a lot of work left to be done.
We need to fan out to the Aftons, the Fairlands, the Wyandottes, places like that, and talk to those constituents and figure out some of the things that they may need.
We're all neighbors. Really just, that's my main plan, is to build the community back, get people re-energized, want to be involved.
Reporting in Ottawa County, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Rick and Amanda both emphasize it's important to be a registered voter so that you can make your voice heard. If you're planning on voting, remember Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th. A new addition to the National World War II Museum showcasing the human cost of war opens in Louisiana. The new space is called the Liberation Pavilion, and its exhibits commemorate the end of the war while highlighting the Nazi atrocities discovered by soldiers. Today's opening ceremonies was attended by historians, veterans, and Holocaust survivors. The new House Speaker has his first political win. Mike Johnson was able to push through a standalone Israel aid package despite some defections from within his party. Fox News congressional correspondent Aisha Hasni tells us what's next.
Tonight, $14 billion in additional U.S. aid to Israel is in limbo. Senate Democrats unwilling to take up a House-passed Israel-only package paid for with cuts to the IRS.
The House bill is dead on arrival in the Senate.
That defiance comes after 12 House Democrats crossed party lines Thursday and joined Republicans in passing the package.
For me, it was personal. My grandmother escaped the Holocaust as part of the Kindertransport.
Their leader unfazed.
My Republican colleagues were openly speculating that we were going to lose 50, 60, 70 Democrats.
But House Republicans hope that support will pressure the Senate to negotiate, as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer plans to introduce a larger bill to mirror President Biden's $105 billion request, tying Israel aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, the U.S.-Mexico border, and humanitarian aid for Gaza. Senate Republicans are already pushing back.
I think that's going to undergo significant change before it gets Republican support.
Even offering an alternative pay-for. Senator Tom Cotton posting on X a 6% tax on endowments of America's top 10 universities, many of which are failing to condemn anti-Semitism, would raise $15.4 billion, more than enough to pay for our aid to Israel. And in the coming days, we could see negotiations to divide up the issues. House Speaker Johnson did say that he would bring up Ukraine aid separately. On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
The United States is sending a $425 million assistance package to Ukraine. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced the military aid to Ukraine during his trip to Israel on Friday. It comes as the Biden administration struggles to get more funding to assist Ukraine through Congress. The new package contains $125 million under the Presidential Drawdown Authority. A bit later, how AI is being used to help people on the autism spectrum become more comfortable behind the wheel.
Hey, it turned out to be a nice Friday for us today. It was warm, it was very windy. We had highs at 71 degrees. That's pretty good. And it's still fairly mild out there right now. The winds are starting to die down just a little bit. You can see Still the flags blowing on our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam downtown Joplin. All right, look at our temps over the past 36 hours. Yesterday, we got into lower 60s, which was great, but we pumped all the way into lower 70s for highs today. I think we may be a notch or two cooler tomorrow, and then we should be warmer than what we saw today by the time we head into Sunday. It's been windy as well. We had winds gusting at times 30 upwards to 35 during the afternoon. You can see the winds calming down just a little bit, which is nice. I don't think they're going to be too bad as we go into the weekend, at least the first half of the weekend. Look at this wind shift line. This is a weak front on top of us, and because it's going to be on top of us, the winds will start to die down a little bit. So it's not bad tomorrow, but watch what happens Sunday. Here's the front, lifts back north, so then we get those southerly winds again, and those winds gusting near 30 once again by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, a few clouds kind of skirting through, nothing really underneath the clouds, couple little sprinkles up across parts of Illinois, also out toward Wyoming. This is our next little wave. It's going to give us some clouds, maybe a random shower. Besides that, not a huge deal. Another wave out across the Pacific Northwest. We don't have any big storm systems over about the next week or so, but we do have these weak little waves, which are kind of skirting through. All right, for us tonight into the morning, dropping back 48 to about 50 for an overnight low. We are going to have a lot of clouds tomorrow. We're going to stop at the noon hour, but you're still going to have some sunshine. So partly to mostly cloudy skies. Right around 60 by the noon hour. I think most of us 67, 68 as we get into the afternoon. Now, I want you to focus on a couple little spotty showers. So as we go into the evening hours, and then into the overnight hours, we can't rule out a couple random showers. If we have any pop up, they're going to be light, and they would stick around into Sunday morning, and then they would roll out of here, partly sunny skies, mid-70s for highs by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. Here's your day planner tomorrow: 53 at 9, 64 by 1, 65 by 5 p.m. And if we break down the weekend, 68 Saturday, 73 on Sunday. A few sprinkles late in the day tomorrow, random shower tomorrow night, and then mild and windy once we get into the daytime hours on Sunday. All right, 68. Don't forget the clocks. They drop back 1 hour tomorrow night. This is technically 2 a.m. Sunday morning. So you'll gain an extra hour sleep, but you will lose an hour of evening daylight. The sun will set right around 6 p.m. on Sunday. 76 Monday, 78 Tuesday, maybe a few showers trying to pop up by Wednesday. Elise?
Well, coming up in sports, a look ahead to the Chiefs matchup with the Dolphins in Germany. Plus, the second round of high school football playoffs begin tonight. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Football season has flown by in the 4 states. We're into the second week of the playoffs in high school football in Kansas and Missouri. It's the final week of the regular season in Oklahoma, and it's also the final week you can catch our 30-minute highlights high school football show Press Box right here on Fox 14. Our game of the week tonight is a battle between two of our local teams as Humboldt makes the trip to Riverton in a Class 2A regional playoff game in Kansas. Over in Missouri, plenty of games stick out as well. Joplin has a tough draw, heading on the road to Kickapoo. This team, Mount Vernon, you're looking at right now, hosts Reed Spring, looking to move on to a district title game. Myself and Brock Baldridge will bring you all the highlights for the final time until next fall. Hope you'll join us tonight at 11. And we're down to the final 2 weeks of the regular season in D2 college football. Both Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern are on the road this Saturday. The Gorillas have a chance to earn a second consecutive MIAA championship. Starting with that game, PSU on the road at Missouri Western. It is a battle of two top 25 teams. The Gorillas haven't lost a conference game since November 2021. If they win this one, it guarantees the Gorillas are back-to-back MIAA champs. Kickoff in St. Joe is at 1. We'll bring you the highlights and let you hear from the Gorillas here on KOAM tomorrow evening. Missouri Southern also on the road over at Emporia State. Lions trying to finish the season strong. 2023 hasn't gone the way they hoped. After beginning the year 3-1, MSSU in danger of back-to-back 4-win seasons if it can't win one of the last 2 games. Now over to the NFL. You'll have to wake up a little bit earlier than normal on Sunday to catch the Chiefs game. The defending Super Bowl champs face former Kansas City wide receiver Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, but not down in Miami. They play in Germany. More on that in this week's Minute with Mitch.
The NFL's global brand is growing, and the Chiefs' global brand is growing at an even faster pace. This week's game in Frankfurt, Germany between the Chiefs and Dolphins is one of the biggest on the entire NFL calendar. But there's a long play to this event and this weekend. The German people are falling in love with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are #1 in NFL merchandise sales in Germany among the teams who market there through the Global Markets program. Moreover, the Chiefs already have 6 major partnership agreements with German companies. And on the Chiefs Kingdom radio show recently, a young family of 4 children, they came here from Frankfurt because they wanted to see GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, and now we're going to go see them. It's just the beginning of a strong relationship. So, bis später, and Prost, Tschüss, on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
That's all for sports. Back with more news after this.
AI is being used to help people on the spectrum become more comfortable behind the wheel and drive. Fox's Alani Latang has more on this program.
We don't want any sector of our population to not have those opportunities to keep enhancing themselves.
Artificial intelligence is helping people with autism learn to drive before hitting the road.
Everyone will do phase 2, the rural driving.
The National Science Foundation gave a grant to San Diego State University and Vanderbilt University to create the AI driver training program. Dr. Mary Baker Erickson is a research professor at SDSU. She says studies show nationwide less than 30% of people with autism seek a driver's license. She says this means fewer are working.
It was about this uncertainty of could they do it? And sometimes fear, an actual fear of approaching a driving scenario.
The program runs for 8 weeks. It aims to build confidence, help with focus, and emotional control. The lessons combine virtual reality with coursework.
They'll learn in a group environment. It is a curriculum of they're learning information, but also practicing skills through activities.
After the classroom work, the students head to the simulators.
I am on my way to the bakery.
Isabel Miller and Juliet Meehan are teaching assistants.
We have our wheel here, as you can see. We have our 2 foot pedals down here.
Students use the driving simulator with or without the virtual reality goggles. Students are assigned different tasks like braking, accelerating, before being sent on trips.
Make a right turn ahead.
So I'll just be looking at the participant and like how they're driving, double checking the 1 foot versus 2 feet.
Okay, we can do this. I took the simulator for a test drive. Let's go. It feels just like driving on the road, but the controls can be a little more sensitive. The AI tells you when you've made a mistake, like going over the speed limit. Then the assistants will talk through the mistakes with students. Okay. Speed limit.
Posted speed limit, yeah.
The students can start the AI program at the California mandatory age for driver's education at 15 years old, but they must complete DMV requirements for a permit or a license. Dr. Baker Erickson says the AI program has already boosted driving interest among people with autism.
Make a left turn ahead.
And the confidence of putting themselves on the next trajectory of going towards that driver's license, doing the behind the wheel driver's training.
Coming up, we'll check out one marriage proposal that happened in a place you wouldn't expect. Screams of delight from trick-or-treaters filled the air on Halloween night, but in Broadview Heights, Ohio, love was in the air too. It took guts for one young man to enter a haunted house and even more courage for him to propose to his girlfriend once inside. Tessa DeTiro has more on the scary, sweet proposal.
On Halloween night, Bloodview haunted house actors are busy transforming themselves into their scariest characters yet.
Tonight's just Halloween, so it's a lot of the whatever people get the chance to do, they want to do something super fun. And they're like, I have an idea. That's what Halloween is all about for us.
It's the 14th scary season for Albert Hare. But this Halloween, he'll play a role he's never played before. Love is in the air.
Always, and it's always a love for Halloween, and then there's more.
Instead of a hair-raising scare, he's part of one of the sweetest moments in a love story. Weeks ago, Steve Guiazda got a voicemail from groom-to-be Logan Shieldhouse, who had a request he'd never heard before.
Who reaches out to a haunted house to have an engagement? I'm like, but who's crazy enough to actually call him back and go, yeah, let's do it?
The plan was set for the Olmsted Falls man to ask the most important question of his life.
Oh my God, what is happening?
Will you marry me?
What?
Will you make me the happiest man in the world?
Yeah, yes!
Yeah!
Haunted houses are absolutely her thing.
Logan worked with the haunted house to position himself inside the attraction for the spooky surprise.
I literally had no idea.
I'm a scaredy cat, and I would never ever think of doing something like this.
Why do you want to go so bad?
This was
That's so weird.
Right. Well, yeah, right.
You
And
haven't watched like scary movies with me.
A scary good story for the happy couple.
I love you.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of animals in Australia enjoying some leftover Halloween treats. See you back here next time. Thanks for making us part of your night.